Talk to yourself like this for 5 days and get amazing results. If you talk to yourself the right way for just 5 days, your mindset, energy, and results will begin to shift dramatically. This isn't motivation, it's a transformation. Stay till the end to learn how to rewire your thoughts, reset your confidence, and unlock the version of you that's been waiting to rise. The power of self-talk is one of the most underestimated forces in human transformation. Every day, whether consciously or unconsciously, you're having an ongoing conversation with yourself. That inner voice is shaping your thoughts, your beliefs, and ultimately your actions. Most people don't realize it, but the words you speak internally become the blueprint for your life externally. If you constantly tell yourself you're not good enough, not ready, or not capable, your mind begins to agree, and it will start filtering your opportunities, actions, and decisions through that limiting belief system. What you say to yourself becomes your reality. It becomes the lens through which you interpret your relationships, your job, your future, and even your identity. That's why self-talk isn't just about feeling better, it's about becoming better. The language you use inside your mind is either planting seeds of confidence or watering weeds of insecurity. It's either building your emotional strength or silently tearing it down. And the catch is, most of the time, we don't even notice what we're saying. Our minds are on autopilot, repeating loops from our childhood, our past failures, or words spoken over us by people who didn't see our value. But when you begin to take control of that internal narrative, everything changes. You realize that you don't have to believe every thought that passes through your mind. You begin to challenge the voice that tells you to stay small. You start replacing phrases like "I can't" with "I'm learning," and "this is too much" with "I'm growing through this." That simple shift, practiced daily, begins to rewire your brain. Your inner world starts to get stronger, more stable, more focused. And eventually, your outer world follows. The most successful and peaceful people in the world have mastered this one thing. They speak to themselves with intention. They don't wait for motivation, they create it. They don't allow fear to speak louder than faith. And when doubt shows up, they don't entertain it, they answer it with truth. That's the power of self-talk. It's like carrying a coach, a guide, and a warrior inside your mind. It reminds you who you are when life tries to make you forget. It lifts you up when circumstances try to break you down. So if you want to change your life, don't start with your circumstances, start with your sentences. What you say to yourself is not just a reflection of how you feel, it's a command to your future. Speak strength, speak vision, speak faith, even when you don't feel it yet. Because eventually your words will become your reality. And once you align your self-talk with your purpose, your potential will no longer be something you chase, it will be something you live. Reprogramming your mind begins with recognizing that most of your current thoughts are not original. They are recycled. From childhood, you've been absorbing ideas, beliefs, and opinions from people around you. Parents, teachers, media, culture. They've all contributed to shaping the way you think, often without your permission. Over time, these thoughts become internal scripts you repeat to yourself. I'm not smart enough. I always mess things up. I don't deserve better. These scripts become mental programs that run automatically in the background, influencing your decisions, your emotions, and even your sense of identity. The problem is, many of these inner scripts are rooted in fear, lack, or limitation. And because they operate beneath the surface of your awareness, they go unchallenged for years. You may not even realize that your hesitation to pursue a dream or your habit of settling for less is a result of an outdated mental program running silently in your mind. That's why reprogramming your mind is not just helpful, it's necessary if you want to break through to a new level of life. Your mind is like a garden. If you don't plant intentional thoughts, weeds will grow by default. Negative thoughts don't need your permission to show up. They come naturally, especially in a world filled with comparison, criticism, and fear. But positive, empowering thoughts, those must be planted, nurtured, and repeated. You have to intentionally speak truth into your mind again and again until it overrides the old code. This is where daily self-talk becomes a powerful tool. When you consistently feed your mind with new, life-giving language, your brain starts to form new neural pathways. It begins to accept the new programming as normal. At first, it might feel fake or forced. You may say, "I am confident," while still battling self-doubt. But repetition rewires belief. The more you repeat a new message, the more familiar it becomes, and eventually your mind accepts it as your new truth. That's when you'll start to see a shift, not just in how you feel, but in what you do. You'll notice that you're standing taller, speaking clearer, taking bolder actions, and walking away from things that once drained you. Reprogramming the mind isn't a one-time event. It's a daily discipline. It's choosing every morning to reject the voice of fear and speak the voice of faith. It's catching yourself in the middle of a negative thought and replacing it with a declaration of strength. It's teaching your mind to expect good things, to believe in growth, and to anticipate progress, even if the results aren't visible yet. When your internal programming changes, your external patterns follow. And that's how transformation happens, not just from the outside in, but from the inside out. The idea that 5 intentional days of powerful self-talk can reset your mind might sound too simple to be true, but the truth is, transformation doesn't always take years. It just takes focused effort and consistency. When you commit to speaking to yourself with clarity, intention, and truth for just 5 days, you create a shift that goes deeper than emotion. You start to realign your thinking, interrupt negative patterns, and create space for a new way of being. The reason this works is because most people live on mental autopilot. They repeat the same thoughts every day, most of them rooted in fear, doubt, or insecurity. These thoughts produce the same emotions, the same decisions, and the same outcomes. So nothing changes because their inner world hasn't changed. But what if you broke that cycle, even for a short time? What if, for 5 straight days, you consciously chose to fill your mind with thoughts that empower you rather than weaken you? What if, instead of letting your emotions dictate your day, you trained your words to lead your emotions? That's the power of a 5-day reset. You're not trying to become perfect. You're simply choosing to interrupt the pattern long enough to give yourself a new direction. In those 5 days, you take back your mornings. You wake up and immediately begin speaking life into your soul. You say things like, "Today I lead with peace. I have the discipline to do what needs to be done. I am not overwhelmed. I am organized and focused." These aren't just affirmations. They're instructions to your brain. Your mind begins to listen. And as it listens, it adjusts. It starts aligning your focus, your attitude, and even your body language with the words you're feeding it. And it's not just what you say in the morning, it's how you speak to yourself all day long. When something goes wrong, instead of spiraling into blame or anxiety, you say, I will learn from this. When you feel resistance, you say, this is where growth happens. These small shifts begin to stack. And the beauty is, it doesn't take months to notice change. Even within the first couple of days, you'll feel a difference. You'll start catching yourself before slipping into negativity. You'll notice a boost in energy, a clearer head, and a stronger sense of control. It's not that problems disappear. It's that your mindset becomes stronger than the problem. That's what the 5-day reset does. It reminds you of your power. It proves that you're not at the mercy of your thoughts. You are the master of them. And once you taste that level of self-leadership, it becomes addictive in the best way, because now you've seen what's possible. Now you know that 5 days of speaking truth can spark a lifetime of change. You can't expect your life to rise if your words are constantly pulling it down. What you speak becomes the atmosphere of your life. Your words are not just sounds, they are declarations, seeds, and commands that shape the direction of your emotions, your habits, and your outcomes. Too often people speak carelessly to themselves, not realizing that the words they use carry energy and power. Phrases like, I'll never figure this out for me, may seem harmless in the moment, but they become silent agreements with defeat. The more you say them, the more you begin to live under them, and eventually your life starts to mirror your language. Words are not only reflective, they are creative. When you speak negativity, you don't just describe your circumstances, you help recreate them. You make it harder to see the opportunities around you because your mind is trained to expect limitation. But when you begin to choose your words with intention, everything starts to shift. Instead of reacting emotionally, you respond with clarity. Instead of cursing your process, you speak patience over it. You speak progress instead of pressure. You speak lessons instead of losses. And in doing so, you begin to partner with growth, not resistance. Your words create your emotional climate. Just like the weather sets the tone for your day, your language sets the tone for your mindset. If you start the day saying, this is going to be a terrible day, your brain looks for reasons to confirm it. But if you say, no matter what happens today, I will remain grounded and productive, your brain starts working in your favor. It begins scanning your environment to align with the vision your words have painted. That's why you have to train yourself to speak what you want to experience, not just what you feel in the moment. This is not about ignoring problems or pretending everything is fine. It's about recognizing that your words can either add fuel to the fire or water to the roots. Every time you speak hope, discipline, strength, and faith, you're reinforcing the mindset that's necessary to carry you through difficult seasons. You can't always control what's happening around you, but you can absolutely control what's happening within you. And it starts with your words. The moment you realize that your mouth is connected to your destiny, you become more careful with what you say. You stop making jokes that belittle your worth. You stop speaking fear into your future. You begin to use your words as tools of transformation, because when your language changes, your focus changes, and when your focus changes, your actions follow. That's how your words, spoken consistently and intentionally, become the foundation for a new life. One thought, one sentence, one declaration at a time. Your mind listens to everything you say, even the things you whisper in frustration, and the thoughts you silently repeat when no one is watching. And the truth is, it believes you. Whether you're joking, venting, or casually criticizing yourself, your subconscious mind doesn't filter for sarcasm or intention. It simply absorbs what it hears and begins to treat it as fact. That's why the language you use internally matters more than you realize. When you tell yourself, "I always fail," "I'm not enough," or "this is too hard," your brain starts wiring itself to make those statements real. It adjusts your focus, your mood, your posture, and even your performance to match your self-talk. Now imagine if, instead of speaking words that limit you, you began to speak words that lift you. Imagine waking up each morning and saying, "Today I am focused and powerful." Imagine telling yourself, "I'm built for this," even in the middle of stress or fear. When you speak like that, your mind doesn't just hear the words. It begins to shape your emotions and behavior to reflect them. This is not magic. It's the science of neural programming. Your thoughts create pathways in the brain, and the more those pathways are traveled, the stronger they become. Your repeated words, whether negative or positive, determine which paths are strengthened. The most successful and emotionally resilient people have trained their minds to become allies rather than enemies. They understand that the battle is won or lost internally before anything ever happens externally. They speak strength even when they feel weak. They speak faith even when fear is present. They tell themselves, "I am growing," even when the process is uncomfortable, because they know that the mind responds not to circumstances, but to consistent input, and if that input is intentional, empowering, and aligned with their purpose, their mind will adjust accordingly. When you do this for 5 days, just 5, you'll begin to feel the change. It may start small. You might notice yourself being a little more patient, a little more confident. You may find it easier to make decisions, to say no to distractions, to believe in your own voice. That's the mind responding to your new leadership. You're no longer letting emotions drag your thoughts around. You're using your thoughts to lead your emotion. And over time, this becomes who you are. You become someone who no longer reacts, you respond. You no longer spiral, you stay steady. You no longer doubt, you trust the process, because you've learned how to manage your internal world. This practice also sharpens your clarity. When your self-talk is intentional, your focus becomes clearer. You stop chasing every opportunity or fearing every obstacle. You start to align with your purpose and filter everything through that lens. You know what deserves your energy and what doesn't. And that kind of clarity is rare, powerful, and attractive. It draws people, opportunities, and breakthroughs toward you, not because of luck, but because of alignment. Your mind is always listening, so you must decide, what kind of messages are you feeding it? Are you speaking in a way that builds, heals, and empowers? Or are you unknowingly reinforcing doubt and fear? The moment you choose to speak life consistently, even when it feels unnatural, is the moment you begin to reshape not just your mindset, but your entire life. The voice you use with yourself will either be your greatest limitation or your most powerful weapon. Speak like you believe in your future, and soon your life will begin to reflect it. There is a deep connection between the words you speak to yourself and the energy you carry. Your inner dialogue directly influences how you show up in the world. Your posture, your attitude, your decisions, your resilience. And one of the most powerful shifts you can make is to start speaking to yourself as the person you are becoming, not the person you were. The version of you that's disciplined, clear, confident, purposeful, that version isn't far off. In fact, it already exists within you. waiting to be activated. And the key to unlocking that version of yourself lies in how you speak. When you speak to yourself like someone who already walks in vision, you start acting like it. You walk differently. You carry yourself with quiet authority. You make decisions based on long-term purpose, not short-term emotion. This isn't about pretending or faking. It's about aligning your words with where you're going. Most people don't realize how often they talk themselves out of greatness. They say things like, "I don't think I'm ready, I'm too tired," or "I don't have what it takes," and those words build a case in their mind for staying small, stuck, or scared. But when you begin to consistently speak like the person you aspire to become, you create a mental environment where growth becomes natural. You say things like, "I'm being stretched, and that's a good thing. I'm showing up for my future even if today feels heavy. I lead with excellence no matter how I feel." These statements may feel unfamiliar at first, even uncomfortable, especially if you've been speaking from a place of limitation for years. But don't stop, because every time you speak like the higher version of yourself, you're pulling that version closer to reality. Your self-talk becomes your self-demeanor. If you keep calling yourself lazy, unworthy, or unlucky, that's how you'll behave. But if you start calling yourself focused, resilient, and favored, your mindset shifts, your behaviors follow, and your life begins to catch up with your words. This is how you reprogram your identity. Not by wishing, but by declaring. Not by hoping, but by consistently speaking life over yourself, even when your surroundings don't yet reflect it. That's faith. That's vision. That's growth. And something powerful happens when you stick with this for 5 days. You'll begin to feel internal resistance soften. The voice of doubt won't be as loud. The urge to quit won't be as strong. You'll begin to experience what it feels like to live in agreement with your potential. And when you get a taste of that, you won't want to go back. Because now you've seen what's possible when your words and your identity are aligned. Speak to yourself like someone who is already trusted, already strong, already capable. Your words will teach your mind to believe it, and once your mind believes it, your actions will follow. The future version of you is not waiting for perfect conditions, it's waiting for a consistent voice. A voice that speaks power, not panic. A voice that calls out the greatness in you, even when it's buried under pressure. That voice can be yours if you decide to use it. Speak like you're becoming who you were always meant to be, and soon enough, you will. If you've made it this far, it means something inside you is ready for change. Don't just listen, start speaking life into your days. Every single morning. Remember, the words you say to yourself today are shaping the person you'll become tomorrow. Keep going. Your breakthrough is already on the way.